Hello, everyone, and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes released on the BBC in the UK from Monday the 13th to Thursday the 16th of June 2022. And before we do anything else, he's here. His name is Rob, and he has stuff to say. Hello, Rob. How are you? How are you doing?
I'll tell you how I'm doing, Alex. I'm bloody hot. That's what I'm doing. And I don't just mean from a vanity perspective, because that's why state the obvious, Alex?
Exactly.
Why bother? Why bother? But I don't do this sort of heat. I don't know what temperature it is wherever you are, faithful viewers and listeners, but here it's close to 30 degrees, and I don't deal well with it. If I wanted to live somewhere this hot, I'd move to Nicaragua. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I've got no issues with cold and rain. I like a sunny day. I mean, I like, a day where you can sit in a beer garden. That's fine. But when it's literally just humid, muggy, and you sleep it, and you want to sleep in an ice cube at night, I hate it.
Right.
Right. We should address, Alex,
yes,
that you're somewhere not in your usual place.
It's a different background again. Yes, as you can see, I'm in the office. I'm in my working office. Don't tell anyone. But no, don't worry, it's fine. I've got permission to do this, so it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. And where I'm currently living, the sun isn't so hot. We're not getting the hot sunshine up in Scotland. We've had rain for most of the week, while you guys down south, you southerners. You soft southerners have been enjoying the sunshine pouring on your skin.
Is that a thing?
We do. It happens occasionally. Yeah. It rears its ugly head out of the clouds every now and then. And it should be happening this weekend. But ours will be much cooler.
What's that glowing thing in the sky? I don't recognise that.
Right, so I want to apologise in advance for any watchers or listeners of the podcast, to any Scottish watchers and listeners of Rob's impression there of the Scottish accent. Please send your complaints to robwalfordweekly@gmail.com. No, just get in touch with Rob. I look forward to reading those out next week. But before we also go any further, we also need to wish happy birthday to Abby. Happy birthday, Abby, who will be celebrating her birthday. As this comes out yesterday, her birthday is on the 17th of June. And that's from Aaron. He just wants to wish you a very happy birthday. So well done you for surviving another year. yes, indeed. Right. So, Rob, before we go into the actual show of what's happened on the soap this week, I think that we should maybe just have a quick chat about the soap awards that happened on Saturday.
Yes.
We didn't really talk about it last week because, to be fair, we didn't have time, but also we kind of both conceded that we thought that we weren't going to get very far with it. So we kind of thought, probably best
not when they're pessimists at all.
No.
Glass half full, me and Alex were just, it seemed, but we did all right, didn't we?
We did okay.
The show did all right.
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all. I mean, we got 3 accolades. We got, again, I'm using we now. Ross Boatman won Best Newcomer.
It's a bit like, when you talk about your football team, isn't it? You refer to it as we.
Don't. I hate it.
EastEnders is our football team. EastEnders is our football team.
Right, fine. But I won't refer it as we anymore, because it annoys me when people refer to their football team as we, as if they participated in some way in winning something. Because they didn't participate at all. All they did was sit on the sofa, watch Sky Sports and drink a beer. That's all I do when I watch EastEnders. So I'm not using we anymore.
Fair enough.
So the awards go to...
the
awards went to Ross Boatman, who won Best Newcomer as Harvey. Tamika Ebsen, who had a fantastic speech when she won Best Comedic Performance as Kim Fox. And Lacey Turner and Gillian Wright, who is Stacey, and Jean Slater, who won Best Screen Performance together, which was I was very surprised that we did so well.
I was delighted. We did great, Alex. It's and about time too. It's about time we got
cheers.
All the awards. Cheers. But as well as that, there wasn't not only that, but the gorgeous and fabulous Letitia Dean received was it a Lifetime Achievement Award?
Outstanding achievement.
Anita Dobson.
My heart sang when she came on stage and presented it to Letitia. It was so lovely. And we predicted it as well, because we spotted in the afternoon that Letitia Dean was there, which is quite a surprise in itself. Yeah, and then no, she doesn't. She's, as we said before, she sits on a chaise lounge, has grapes fed to her, glasses of champagne, and watches the thing as it goes by. Even when she gets nominated, she doesn't bother turning up. So she made an effort this year, and we thought, you know what? something's happening here. And then she was sat on the edge of an aisle. We thought, hang on, something's happening here. And it was fantastic news that she won outstanding performance. And Anita Dobson, as you say, to present it to her was fantastic. And she dedicated it to her dad, who has sadly died recently as well, which I thought was a beautiful speech as well. I was so pleased. I mean, a couple of surprises off EastEnders that I'd like to talk to you about. First of all, did you notice that every single viewing vote award went to Emmerdale? So clearly Emmerdale are doing something quite right with an audience right now, aren't they?
Emmerdale are doing something right, you know. But then if you were to look at the if you look at all the internet forums, you know, and talk to I put these in inverted commas fans, you know, the same as any show. Any fan of the show will say it's the worst thing that's ever been put on television. So, you know, general viewers the general viewers are you know, enjoying it apparently. You know, it's Emmerdale's kind of a bit of a surge in recent years.
Really?
But do you know what? EastEnders did bloody marvellously. We came second in the amount of awards that, you know, all the soaps got. Emmerdale came first, and then EastEnders. Corrie didn't have a great night.
Corrie had a disastrous night. I went in there thinking they're going to win not every, but a lot of the awards. I really did. From what the buzz of everyone keeps saying, like, oh, Corrie's done this very well. And no, they won one award the whole night.
With our sinkhole episode, ruined it for themselves. Mate.
Exactly, they should never done that sinkhole.
The award of the night for me was Ross Boatman. I was thrilled about that. I was so pleased that he got that because I think even he's
safe.
He just sort of held the award going, newcomer. Well, yeah, this is an interesting fact, isn't it? Like, so clearly he has resonated. So, you know, obviously viewers like him. Because was that a viewer voted award?
No. That was a jury vote. That was a jury vote. But that's
even less than to kind of, you know, I wonder if there is a couple of conversations going on in sort of EastEnders HQ of a bit of a rethink. You know, I would not be surprised if Dana's exit is temporary.
I wondered that. Do you think that saved Dana then? Because obviously we'll talk about Dana in a moment, but
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Dana will go off to university or something, but, you know, that means that she could return, a bit like Libby did. So she could sort of return as and when.
Scribble.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron turns into a bit of a nasty Nick type character and then just kind of shows up once every few years to make Harvey's life hell for a bit and then leaves again.
So Harvey's the new Dot. He's replacing Dot.
Yeah, who'd have thunk it?
There we go. So
you know what?
Yep.
Well done, EastEnders. You
yes.
know, yes, we complain and yes, we whine, but we loves you, and you did us proud there, and we are very pleased. And so, yes, hurrah! So hopefully, this is the start of the awards coming all back into EastEnders' life from this year onwards. Clenners can wipe the slate clean, and moving forward, and it's all very exciting.
Indeed, it is. So here we go. Then we're going to start talking about the stories of the week.
Yes.
But before we start, just to let you know that if you're watching this on YouTube, then please don't forget to subscribe. And if you're listening to us on Podbean or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of your favorite podcast apps, also don't forget to subscribe and get in touch with us if you have any views on our Twitter, our Instagram, or by email. All the details at the end of the show. So, Rob, here we go then. So we are talking about the greatest scene possibly ever put to tape. Ben had a bit of a breakdown this week, which resulted to
he's
him.
Not the only one.
Which resulted in him basically confiding in Jay and admitting to him that he had been raped by Lewis. At first, Jay was a bit cautious, still not quite believing it. But then after him and Jay had quite a good scene after the fact of the scene, which I'm sure we're going to talk very deeply about beforehand, they discuss it, talk it out, decide to go on holiday, and Ben decides that this rest will probably do him some good so he can return and not have such violent intentions in the future, because he was out to basically get blood from Lewis. In the meantime, Kathy has sacked Lewis and Lewis has left. But Lewis left a parting shot with Peter, which we'll talk about at the end of this discussion.
Yes.
So tell me, how did you feel about Ben Mitchell beating up a sofa and then having a cigarette as if he's just had sex?
I have never been so... I can't remember the last time I was so irritated by a scene in my entire life. Just irritated. All right. I went to work that day. That night I went to work after watching that. It had put me in such a bad mood. Someone who I know, who knows that I watch EastEnders and who watches it too, turned around to me when I arrived and went, did you watch tonight? Yes, I did. Don't ask me about it. I mean, right, for a start, you've never seen Ben smoke. Never seen Ben smoke in his life. All right?
No.
Ben, as far as, and even Jay, helpfully turned around and went, "Since when did you ever smoke?" Ben beat up this sofa. Now I can understand, like, I can go with the sofa beating up. That's fine. You know, I can understand that this Ben would totally look at that sofa and decided that it needed to die.
He did a crowbar in.
And the great upholstery murder of 2022. I get that. Okay. What I don't understand, and will never understand, is why a non-smoker would then sit on it, pull a cigarette out of his... Well, for example, where did he get this cigarette from? And why did he have this cigarette? Well, specifically...
And a lighter. He planned
and a lighter,
something very
all
planned.
This, just one cigarette that he had for this one occasion. Like, is he one of these people, like, do you smoke? No, only if I rack a sofa, so I'm a 20 a day man. You know, none of it made any sense whatsoever. Like, why would you... that, to me, is just, like, the worst kind of scene, because... You're an ex-smoker. I'm an ex-smoker. How many people do we know who didn't smoke that would ever just light up a cigarette randomly without immediately hacking their guts up?
Yes,
it just help me, Alex.
I mean, it's not in the realms of possibility that Ben may have smoked at some point. It's just
you've
never seen it on screen.
And I can imagine Ben being the sort of the occasionally, you know, if he's gone out and got absolutely wasted and pulled some bloke and
all right, yeah.
I can just about pull that, but it was just such a strange scene.
It didn't make
no sense to me.
It made no sense. What was the purpose of watching Ben light up a cigarette? I didn't get it, because it was portrayed in a way that it was like a relief.
I'm assuming.
It was a relief, yeah. So, but surely just a nice sigh would have done that. It's like, it's almost like they had to have Jay almost kind of be a bit condescending to Ben before he could kind of like then reset the button to then talk to Ben again. It's like, oh, I've seen Ben at his worst and light a cigarette. Now I need to talk to him and sort him out. And it just kind of felt weird. Did it not feel like, it felt like, you know, the film The Room, when he kind of comes out, I shouldn't have done it. I didn't accuse them of nothing. Oh, hi, Rob, or something like that. You know, it reminded me of that scene a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, but I mean, the scene afterwards with Ben and Jay was lovely, right? Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Yeah. I love this show dearly, but my God, it messes with my head sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... 1 second I'm furious at it, I want to chuck a shoe at the television, and then the next moment I'm sort of leaning forward on the sofa and feeling love for characters. Like, stop it. Leave me alone, all right? I'm a delicate person as it is. But don't do that sort of thing ever again, please. That just made no sense whatsoever. I don't get what it achieved.
What was it exactly? Why? What was its purpose? What was it trying to achieve?
Unless Max Bowden wants to be the next June Brown, has decided that I'm just going to light up.
I need to introduce smoking now as a character trait.
I need to introduce smoking back into it again. Like, if that had been someone like, I don't know, Max Branning, who we have seen smoke on screen before, that wouldn't have batted an... Well, I would have batted an eyelid, but it would have been less of a bat and more of just a mild, irritated flutter, rather than like a twitch, an actual twitch, like a little twitch. During that
twitch and eyelid.
But you know, and I'm sort of reminded of that scene quite a few years back when Joe first went on the sex offenders register and was having a really, really bad time, and some thugs beat him up in the street, and he'd gone missing for a bit, and then he walked into the Archers, kind of all bruised and battered. Walked into the Archers, just Ben was there. Jay didn't say a word. He couldn't say a word. He could barely speak. He was too devastated. And he just broke down in tears and hugged Ben, and that was the end of the scene. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's the sort of thing I was sort of hoping to get from that, rather than, like I say, I get Ben destroying the sofa. Right? I can take that from Ben, all right, because that's the sort of thing that Ben does, because he's the son of Phil Mitchell, and of course it was with a crowbar.
I mean, that was
thing I didn't understand.
Can I interrupt also, because I didn't like that they did that. I know that that's something Ben would have done, and I got they kind of like that panic attack when he drove to with Kathy in the traffic jam just outside the tube station, and you know he got out and then he got his crowbar, and but at the same time I thought, like, this is getting dangerously now away from the point of the story. I didn't like that they did that. I know that's something Robert he would have done, maybe. Okay, fine, Mitch or whatever. But like sometimes it's like last week when we said, when Ben looked up and said, "Oh, Mitchells don't grass." It was like, yes, that's something he probably would think. But do you really in the way of the? Do you really need that to get in the way exactly of the story? So that kind of made me a little bit bleh as well. But Lewis seems to have gotten away with it, as it were, because Kathy kind of tried to get rid of him. He said, "You can't get rid of me. What if I tell everyone about what Ben's been doing as Bat Ben, you know, being the avenger against like gay straight people who hate gays?" But decided that perhaps he's not quite safe staying on the square right now, took some money out of the till, went on the run, and then had a word with Peter, where he revealed to Peter that actually the person who beat him up was Ben. Now, Peter didn't really take this particularly well, because then he had the word with Kathy about it. Kathy kind of just said to him, well, if you say anything, then I'll just, exactly. I'll disown you as my grandson. Do you think Kathy was a bit callous there, or do you think she was protecting the right person?
I mean, the thing is, I think what she's basically, she had to sort of weigh up her options there, didn't she? She's got what Ben's going through compared to Peter having a little bit of a sulk, essentially. I mean, I understand why Peter's annoyed, don't get me wrong. Of course,
absolutely.
I understand why Peter's
100%.
annoyed. But I think, Kathy is the sort to sort of weigh up which boy needs her attention more and which boy needs to sort of just be parked. And I'll deal with you later. And unfortunately, Peter 9 times out of 10 is the one that's going to be parked. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I know what you mean, but I kind of got why she did it. I got why she said it, but I totally understand why Peter was like, right, this family. What I did find odd was the fact that Peter at one point turned around and said that Bobby was the only person in the family that he cared about.
Yes, again, a total turnaround for Peter. And then in the same week, he then said to Dana that he was really angry at Bobby. So it's kind of like, what are they doing to Peter? Hot and cold.
And he's also blatantly trying to steal Dana off Bobby anyway, by taking the present that Bobby was going to get Dana and then giving it to Dana from him.
Yes.
So doesn't care about him that much.
I mean, see, this is the thing with Peter. It's like I did for one brief moment there. I thought, you know what? Peter's got a point there. Ben, should Gabby have really been defending Ben? Yes, it's his son, but maybe she could have found a different way of doing it rather than threatening Peter. But then that, as you say, that empathy kind of then went out the window when he just decided to kind of like deliberately upset Bobby by then inviting Dana into like kind of like being more better friends with him. But Harvey was having none of it, because Harvey kind of watched this from a distance and knew that kind of Dana was kind of chasing a falsehood here, and that perhaps she was in dangerous territory. So Dana did try to kiss Peter this week, but Peter kind of turned her away. Do you think that's a momentary? Do you think that's going to be a momentary thing, and that perhaps Peter will maybe take it a bit further?
I mean, probably. Well, presumably he's got his eye on Dana anyway, because otherwise, why would he have taken that comic book thing and given it? So he clearly is. What was it? It was some sort of anime manga type comic thing.
Yeah,
the most
something
obscure
from
thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
it was obscure. It was as obscure as your Roland reference. I don't know where. I have no idea. Yes. So yeah, I mean, obviously Dana and Peter are going to get together at some point. I presume what's going to happen is, as soon as Peter's currently annoyed at everybody else in his family, Bobby will say one thing to him, and he will just whisk Dana away and have sex with her against the fridge or something like that. That's the kind of thing that.
Very sexy week this week, has to be said. We'll talk about all the sexiness. I know, but there was a couple of steamy moments. So I wouldn't put that past someone getting pushed against a fridge for some sexy steamy love.
The heat wave started quite much earlier for everybody else, for me, than it did for anybody else. Let me tell you. So Peter and Dana. I mean, the thing is, it's difficult to kind of get invested in them because we know that they're both going. So we're sort of waiting for this to sort of play out. I like the fact that Harvey was sort of sitting there in the restaurant, just sort of polishing his best newcomer award.
Yes,
I don't care. So. So I guess we'll just see where it goes. I mean, obviously, Dana is fancying Peter. I think because she's broken up with Bobby, she sort of realised a little bit, because I think Bobby's quite straight in terms of his personality. Being with Bobby isn't exactly, he's lovely, he's kind, he's probably not going to murder you. And all music boxes have been removed from the house. Probably, he's never quite know, do you? No. But he's a nice, safe option. And I think I can imagine once you break up with someone like Bobby, if someone like Peter comes along, who's a bit of a dick, but a bit of a naughty, I almost say bad boy. But you know what I mean? He's got that extra sort of layer.
He's got a confidence to him, an unwarranted confidence. Yeah. And so for a lot of women,
Bravo thing, isn't it?
Ooh ha he ha ha, exactly. So then to Dana, exactly, and to Dana, she feels like she's had the starter, and now she wants the Peter Bill main course. Lovely.
Who's she having for dessert?
Ooh. Well, Ian.
Well, Ian's not there, thank God. So
thank goodness for that.
Spared of that.
But I do feel bad for Bobby because Bobby did think he had a chance as well. He still thought that Dana had feelings for him this week. And he unfortunately got shot down. But he doesn't know about what Dana tried. So I don't know if Peter will get together with Dana. All I think is that Peter will tell Bobby in a kind of really kind of nasty kind of like way just to upset him deliberately. He's like, oh, well, you know, Dana wants me, so why do you care? Because he's tried it once and he'll probably try it again. And this time Dana can't pretend that it didn't happen because it actually did this time around. So shame.
Well, he's presumably going to find out about the present, isn't he? Because that's Bobby's next move anyway. He's going to.
I thought Bobby knew already.
No, she doesn't know about that. So that's presumably going to be the next step of this.
And the ice cream.
And then Peter, and the ice cream. You know, and then Peter and Bobby will sort of come to war, and then stuff will happen.
Great shame. Like Great shame. So this is the middle bit of the episode, which we didn't have last week, where we talk about the very small stories in the middle. Poor Rob. Yes. I keep surprising him when we're recording the video.
I wasn't ready. This is take 2 of this bit. I wasn't ready whatsoever.
Sorry.
I was halfway through a yawn or something like that. Staring at something shiny. Anyway, carry on.
My forehead, probably. Let's talk about first of all then Stuart and Roland. He's kind of finally started to bond with his son, thanks to Chelsea. Who'd have thought Chelsea would be the person
I liked that.
Bonded them? Yeah, it was nice. Then they had that drink in the Vic, wasn't it?
I liked that a lot. That was really nice. I'm not entirely convinced that Chelsea did it entirely selfishly, because the whole point of that scene was that they were both supposed to be going to baby sensory class, and frankly, I got the impression that Chelsea just didn't want to go anyway. So even Stuart, who she's barely spoken to, is like, "Oh, she just goes to the pub. Screw it." We'll walk him through the second half. Halfway through the second scene, Chelsea's on her third vodka and coke, so clearly isn't going anywhere. So Jordan's not getting any sensory things whatsoever on that day. But it was really, really nice, actually. And I liked Stuart's sort of, because Rainie, bless her, has sort of got to the stage now where she's that desperate to keep hold of this kid. You know, Stuart can give her any problem, and she literally turns around to him and says, I don't care, Stuart. All right, deal with it. Lighten up, Buttercup. I do not care. Vi is taken to the point where Vi is doing this a lot, where she will like say, "Are you looking at
shouting?"
No, I'm going out. No, she didn't shout this week. When she called him a spanner. It's great. I can't wait for Vi to own the Vic. It's that. Oh, that day will come. That's gonna be the new get out of my pub. Get out, you spanner. Can't wait.
Get out, you spanner.
Great, fantastic new era it'll be.
I'm off to win bingo.
Yeah, see, it writes itself. Yes, so Stuart seems to have slowly started. Has he though, or is he sort of just doing it because he thinks that that's what's expected of him, or did Chelsea's conversation with him actually have an effect?
I think Chelsea kind of had an effect on him. How long it lasts could be anyone's guess. I suppose it depends on how long Stuart stays on the show. But again, it's like his time is now ticking, isn't it? So it's another story that is difficult to kind of continue to invest in, knowing that it's probably going to end on Stuart
which
leaving.
Is a shame.
It is a shame, because I was quite enjoying this, and I've always championed, every week I say this, I've always championed Rainie and Stuart having a story. From now on, I'm just going to have to champion Rainie and maybe Vi having a story together, because I'm presuming. Do you think Vi's going to stay? I'm not sure Vi can stay anymore. Yeah. But then we said that about Harvey.
She's going to outlast the entire cast.
It's going to be there's going to be a nuclear fallout, and it's just be her and Beatles walking the earth. Yeah, I mean, I got Rainie. You know, this is the thing she's always wanted. She's lost baby Abby because Mac's kind of taken away. So this is, she finally has her chance. I get it. And she gave, as you say, she gave the ultimatum to Stuart. I think Chelsea's word has kind of hit a nerve with Stuart. And he's written that note now to the agency, the adoption agency, isn't it? It's basically saying how much he wants
do that.
Baby Roland. And he kind of sat there, put him in a West Ham shirt, that's good enough. So it feels like
my mum was delighted about that.
Was she? Is she a West Ham fan?
She's a West Ham fan, so she was delighted about that. So anything that Stuart's ever done, that's forgiven. So she was delighted.
Is she a Danny Dyer fan? Or is a Mick Carter, I should say, fan? No, she is. Right.
Yeah.
It takes us to Hammers, and she's there.
Honestly, she's lower than a worm's tit, my mother. I don't know what honestly.
Bless her. We love your mum. Especially when she starts her engine halfway through a podcast.
Get over it.
No,
once
never.
That happened. Once.
Never again.
Once.
Never again. But yes. So that's Stuart then. And as I say, we'll see where this family story leads. But I can't help but think that he's going to revert back again at some point, because he can only put up this pretense for so long. We also got this week Kheerat and Stacey and Suki, and he's having to take the family role because Uncle came onto the square again this week about the houses
Uncle
and something like that.
Yes.
Uncle, yes, and Uncle's now decided that he's going to set up Kheerat for not a wedding necessarily, but as a partnership, because he thinks that a man's mind can only think straight if he has a good woman cooking him biscuits and making chai tea for him while he's out getting work. So he's got quite a misogynistic view on life. Yeah, really modern, really jumping and screaming into the 21st century as Uncle.
Yeah, but it was sort of interesting to see what Suki's reaction was to that, because she was, I'm fascinated. It feels like, and we didn't have time to discuss this last week, because what happened on the week that we had off was actually quite exciting with regards to the Panesars, wasn't it? Because Daddy Panesar is on his way out of prison. So we're finally going to get some questions answered.
That's true. That's very true. Like the question of who should play Daddy Panesar.
Well, who is Daddy Panesar?
But who is Daddy Panesar?
Who is Daddy Panesar? What has he done? Why was he in prison? What's Suki done? Because Suki's hiding so much, it's clear. Like, she's keeping a lot of secrets. So now Ash is back. I think there's going to be some big stuff coming from the Panesars. I pray. Please let big stuff come to the Panesars.
Suki asked for advice.
Know some stuff.
And Suki asked for advice from Ash, didn't she? She said, what's the best way of kind of getting a retention, an order, so he can't come anywhere near us. And before Ash could kind of give too much information away, she kind of Eve gave too much information away. She kind of, because Suki felt like she was delving too much. She didn't want to let too much in. The Eve and Suki relationship is interesting, isn't it? And it makes it doubly interesting because there's that relationship between Stacey and Kheerat happening as well. So it's like these two friends, married lesbian friends.
Imagine them double dating, can you?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm wondering. This kind of double date situation.
I'm looking forward to that meal in Beals. That's going to be interesting. Yes, so I can't wait for this, because it said on the letter that that Daddy Panesar was put away for murder, and that he's due back he's basically due for release very soon. So and Suki apparently at some point signed something that said that he could come and live with her. So, and the kids obviously don't know some stuff they don't know about. So, I cannot wait, because I've been waiting for these questions to be answered for so long with the Panesars.
I know. We've been waiting for Daddy Panesar to come for a long, long time. I mean, none of them know. Only Suki knows that he's returning. But it's interesting you said something about Uncle. Do you think he might know something then? Do you think he might know something about the release of presumably his brother?
Well, yeah, I was wondering that. Is it his brother, or because I'm pretty sure that I don't know if it is though. I don't know if they're actually related, because I'm pretty sure that the last time that Uncle showed up, I'm pretty sure that Suki said something on the lines of he's as good as an uncle, or he's been around the kids so much that they may as well call him Uncle. I think. I'm not sure. I'd be interested to sort of have a reminder of who exactly Uncle is and where he actually sits within the Panesars. But yeah, as we said, back to the story of this week is that he has now decided that Kheerat needs a wife, because, like you say, he's a modern thinker, and Kheerat has basically replied to that by going to Stacey and having sex with her in Stacey's baps. So
yes, more steamy scenes on the square.
More steam. Well, we didn't see a thing. All we heard was Stacey's raucous, dirty laugh.
Yes, I wanted them to kind of recreate the scene when Martin and Stacey had sex in the back of the fruit and veg van. I really thought, hang on, you've done something here. You've done something here. Have you done it? No, you just didn't.
She will do it anywhere, that girl, won't she? Stacey will do it anywhere.
To be fair, she didn't have a choice in the matter. Kheerat just kind of walked away, closed the door, closed the blinds, told the guy, here you go, there's your ketchup, bugger off, closed the other door. And it was like, all right, Stacey, I'm here.
Oh, so you wish you got what I got this week.
He looked very smart this week, didn't he, old Kheerat? Didn't he? He did. Smart, very
shallow
smart
podcast, man. Very shallow podcast.
As people learn every week when they listen to us gush over men. But it doesn't happen every week. But I feel like, does Suki know that Stacey has Kheerat's attention?
Well, I think she's aware that Stacey is on the peripheral, isn't she?
And she doesn't seem to mind.
You know what Suki? No, I don't know. But you know what she's like. She'll have seen sort of Kheerat hanging around Stacey, and I'm pretty sure they had a conversation at some point, because when that whole thing was happening with Suki trying to kick the Slaters out of their house, I think that was around about when the Kheerat and Stacey thing really started, wasn't it? So I think she found out then that something was going on between him and Stacey. So she knows that they have a thing together. So it's going to be interesting to see because Kheerat's gone there purely out of rebellion. I mean, yeah, he likes Stacey a lot and he fancies her and he's been after her for a while. But the whole conversation with Uncle was enough to sort of kick him up the arse and get him to go and do something about it. So it's going to be interesting to see what Suki's reaction is to this and to see how this all plays out for the Panasars. I'm very excited about this because it's been a while since we've had some Panasar stuff again, and I really want them to start building them up and seeing what makes all these characters tick as a family. So yes, bring that on. Can't wait.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see. So see, Suki's the one that kind of focusing my attention a little bit as well this week because obviously she has a lot of secrets under her I want to say wig, but it's not her hat.
Wig? Doesn't wear a wig. You're getting your phrases mixed up again, aren't you?
I am.
You've got a lot of phrases under her wig. And you say you have the audacity and the gall to turn around to me constantly, not just once, but many times you have turned around to me and said that you'd be great at catchphrase. You would be the worst catchphrase contestant in the history of the show.
Amazing. We've discussed this. We've discussed this on the podcast before.
Alex.
I will. But I can't because I'm not a celebrity. They only do the celebrity version now, so there's no point. They don't do Stephen Mullard. Mullard.
How can you not? Mullard. How can you not be a celebrity after all the news interviews you do?
Exactly. But with Suki,
yes.
She knows about her husband coming out of prison. She's got that kind of thing with her and Eve. She kind of took Kheerat's side as well when it came to Uncle kind of suggesting he gets an arranged marriage of some sort. She kind of said no to it. So I don't know. I just feel like that there's something big about on the horizon for Suki. I can't put my finger on it just yet.
Can't wait. And because obviously Uncle is the last person that she'd want to find out that, Suki's obviously dealing with not problems, but feelings about her sexuality. Uncle is the last person that she would want to know about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the fact that they had that brief scene with Suki and Eve when they were asking about the legal stuff, so clearly that's still on the horizon, still on the back burner. So there's stuff coming, and I cannot wait to see it.
So here we are. We're coming to the next story now, and that is probably the big story of the week, which was Linda waking up in hospital, coming out of her coma, self-induced coma, wasn't it? After they drilled a hole in her head. So who had 2 weeks before she leaves hospital? Walford General, the magical hospital where magical things get healed.
Well, I tell you who didn't have that. Walford General didn't have that because at the start of the week they were saying she may never be the same again.
Yeah, she may never wake up again.
I mean, let's be honest. We knew that wasn't going to happen. We knew that Linda wasn't going to just be a different person. And, even your theory, she might just forget that she's an alcoholic. Even that
wasn't my theory. I said, can you imagine if the writers did that? Which I could have.
Well, yeah.
Luckily they didn't.
No, they haven't done that. But she seems to be all right. I mean, to be fair, it's only fair because both Janine and Annie barely a scratch out of that car crash, and Linda had to be induced into a coma and had a screw put on her head like Frankenstein. So it's not exactly, so it's fair that Linda's now on the road to recovery. But she came round and kind of. Now, this whole thing about her remembering stuff. Now, it's a bit of a cliche. It's a bit of a trope. Like, someone comes around from a coma and goes, I can't remember the vital plot details that led me to this point. But there is a part of me that sort of wonders whether Linda knows a little bit more when she's letting on.
I wondered that too, but then why would she string it along so far? Because when she woke up and she saw Janine in the corner, she admitted that she'd been driving, or she didn't admit it. They just asked her and she said yes. But then why would she string it along to this point? I don't understand why she would do that, especially when Nancy went to visit her.
Yeah, I know, but the higher Janine but maybe she needs Nancy to be sort of out the way because she now realises how dangerous Janine is. So maybe the higher she lets Janine climb, the further she's going to fall when the truth eventually comes out. Because presumably the catalyst. Well, I say the catalyst to this is going to be Linda. On the other hand, there is also Sherlock Scarlett, who has. With very little prompting, basically worked out the entire storyline.
Yeah, the whole mystery. Scooby-Doo. She should get herself a mystery machine.
Oh my God, Scarlett knows everything. At one point, she genuinely just walked into the corridor and went, I think you caused that car crash, Mummy. Yeah, you did, didn't you? You did.
But the maliciousness, did you not notice the way she put it across to her mum? There was a bit of viciousness in her tone. She is Janine's daughter.
Well,
she's Michael Moon's daughter as well, don't forget. Michael Moon was a very, very nasty man. So you can see both of that in her.
So Linda, meanwhile, at the moment, regardless of what she knows and what she doesn't know, she is currently dealing with basically her entire family deserting her. Now then, you're going to turn around to me now and say that this feels incredibly out of character for all the Carters, aren't you? And that it feels very out of character for Mick, and it feels very out of character for everyone just to desert Linda at this moment.
No,
are you not?
No, I'm
I
not.
thought you were. Fair enough.
What I would say, the one thing I would say is that I think that they have now completely ruined any prospect of Mick and Linda getting back together again by having Mick suddenly get his mojo back and sleeping with Janine. I think the whole thing about it was that Linda slept with Max once, which was already a kind of like a strike for their relationship. And I think now Mick's done it with Janine, because there was always that kind of safety barrier, that safety net where Mick said, oh, I can't get it up because of historical abuse that I had when I was a child. And I thought that was quite good and that was quite clever. And I thought actually that's very well done, because it means that Mick was always safe from being kind of like in danger. And now that's gone. And they get another steamy scene on the square. And so I feel like they now have, I'm sorry, I don't care. Anyone says it. Even Sonia said it this week, that Janine, and after weeks of saying, Linda and Mick are always going to be together, Janine, so you might as well not bother. This week, Sonia was like, you know what? You and Mick are quite good together, actually, Janine, so you should be together. And even Sonia, with her trumpet t-shirt, said it. She was trumpeting it from the rooftops that she thinks that Mick. So I think they have Trump. Yes. So I just feel like that that's it. They've done it. That's it. They cannot do anything with Mick and Linda again.
I wouldn't go that dramatically with it. I wouldn't say that they are,
because I like being dramatic.
I know you do. I wouldn't say, because they can do anything they like, really, can't they? Whether you believe it or not is a completely different matter. Of course, they can put Linda and Mick back together. I did think, actually, that, because I saw quite a lot of people online kicking off them and saying how out of character it was for everybody just to turn their backs on Linda. But you've got to remember, Linda's been no angel the past couple of years.
I get that.
She's caused a lot. And being an alcoholic has caused a lot of trauma for the Carters, and the latest being that she apparently got behind the wheel of a car without caring about the fact that she had her daughter in the back.
With Annie in the back,
With Annie in the back, and didn't care, and drove into a tree. Like, it makes sense that the Carters are sort of like, do you know what, Linda? You need to, goodbye. Like, we're done for now. You need to sort yourself out. I wasn't entirely convinced, mind, by Nancy, because she went into the hospital and said that she'd been in touch with some sort of alcoholics support group. And
family support group.
Yeah, and what she got from that support group was that the family support group would turn around to her and say, you need to walk away.
Walk away from it.
Just walk away. That seemed like a bit of a mixed message to me, because surely the whole point of they need help, don't they? Are they basically saying they need to be ready for the help? So.
But see, this is where I think Nancy would be the greatest candidate to be the one who doesn't want to support her mum, because she was the only one that was supporting her before this accident happened. There was that really weird. I still don't quite get that scene when they had that argument in the car, because Nancy wasn't really listening to her, and so Linda got a bit frustrated. I still don't quite get why Nancy kind of turned on a sixpence with that kind of her view on that. But I do think that Nancy is the natural selection for the one who would have been the least supportive of her mum from this point. You're right, though. I think that if they were working close with charities, which I'm sure they were, then they probably would have not. The charity probably wouldn't have said that. I would have thought the support would be the better.
Seems like odd advice for a family support, seems though the word support is in the title. It seems like a bit of a strange. This is a bit of a contradiction in terms. But
that their advice is to not support her. But, I don't know.
Very short meetings, I would think. No, you don't. Oh, okay. Well, thank you for coming. Cheers. Bye.
But no, you are right. I agree with you. I think that for the Carters to turn their back on Linda, we don't know how long this will be. I'm sure next week they'll probably one by one kind of trickle back into her life. Yeah. But it made sense at that point. I mean, it was very dramatic the way they did it. Like, they all sat around the bed waiting for Linda to wake up to ask that one question and then leave again. I thought that was a bit weird too. It was like, come on, everyone. We've got the answer that we wanted, and it wasn't the one we thought, even though they should have thought that was the answer.
My favourite part of that entire scene was, the film that you've seen Disney's Sleeping Beauty, the original cartoon version, right?
I have.
When Sleeping Beauty is being led down to the tower to get her pinpricked, and the fairies are all running around the castle going, Rose, 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 and they're running around. That was Janine when she was on her way around the hospital, crowded as hell, running around the hospital, like looking around, lost and disorientated, and then finally burst into the water to discover Linda awake in the same way that the fairies burst in to discover Aurora on the floor, having touched the spinning wheel. I don't know why, it just reminded me of that.
Also,
so
everyone in the
Janine's
hospital wearing masks, which was a nice little
Well,
reminder. They finally,
some.
finally they remembered that there was a pandemic at some point. It's only taken them for about 2 years. You know?
Oh, I know, but this is the thing. EastEnders never really acknowledged it all that much.
Yeah, but now they are acknowledging it in the hospital. It's like that's
because we've had a lot of scenes. We've had a lot of scenes in hospitals. We had a lot of scenes in hospitals the past 2 years. Yeah. Not one mask, and now all of a sudden,
suddenly everyone's wearing masks. Now they're conscious. Perhaps
Bless
there's a
them.
spike. Perhaps there's a spike in Walford, and that's so they've suddenly like reverted back to
well, they deserve it because
they
didn't get touched by it while the rest of the world was struggling. So yeah, too right, they deserve a spike. So Janine's next move from here on in is that she sort of thinks now she's got away with it, doesn't she? Because Linda apparently doesn't remember anything that happens. Mick has finally slept with her, and she's sort of strutting around like the dog that got the cream. Yeah, look. Yeah, but you'd say something like the horse that got the custard or something like that. So don't even look at
much
it
better
like
phrase.
Yeah, there you go. So Janine's fine at the moment. The only thing she sort of needs to worry about is Scarlett, who is now currently, bless her, going through her own little trauma because she's realised that her mum is a bit of a nutter, essentially.
Yes. No, you're right. And she's asking lots of questions to Sonia. Sonia, have you seen Linda on the ward? Oh, yes. Well, I was doing my rounds. I kind of snuck off and went to see Linda, and people were dying, but I didn't care. I had to say hello to Linda. That kind of stuff happened. Janine's kind of given her the promise that, if you don't say anything, then you've got a ready-made dad here, and you like Mick, don't you? So it's kind of to keep it to yourself. But yeah, as you say, her conscience is just kind of that will always battle over her, won't it? Her conscience. That's the one thing she has over her mum and her dad. Her conscience is always stronger than her need to kind of like upset people.
Well, I feel that because Janine is basically emotionally manipulating Scarlett at this point, I do feel that when all this comes out, I think Janine is going to lose everything. I think she's going to lose Scarlett. She's going to lose Mick. She's going to lose all the support that she had. So Janine's in for a big crash, and I think this might be why Linda's going to just save a little bit of information that she knows, because it seems unlikely that she remembers pretty much everything apart from the vital detail that she wasn't the one that was driving the car.
I know.
It seems a little bit unlikely, so I think it's going to be revealed that she fully remembers that, and she's just waiting for the exactly perfect moment to trip Janine up, and then it's all going to go crazy. Is my opinion. I hope.
There was an interesting point brought up as well online that said that if Mick slept with Janine, because I'm thinking now of you saying like if Linda knows, but the kind of surely there's been an investigation with the police. I still insist that those drag marks around the car is quite a clue to something, some scenario took place there.
The police.
But I know, but also someone online said that would Janine not have bruises on her body? So when Mick slept with her, would he not have spotted them? So that's another kind of like, so.
But yeah, she also had a cut on her head, didn't she, as well?
Yeah, the cut on her head, which Sonia...
Scarlett... Well, no, actually, no. To be fair, the cut has been addressed because Scarlett saw it, and Sonia now knows that she had a cut on her head. So she's got these little sort of crumbs of evidence that she sort of...
Oh, and the photo of her putting the sheets in the bin.
So there is plenty of stuff to sort of trip Janine up. So the little things like the fact that she might have bruises, and she, to be fair, the way that Mick was going at her in the Vic living room, she could just sort of say... Well, little Mr. Rough there, yeah. So I could just about buy that. Meanwhile, with the rest of the Carters, so that's Janine and Linda. So I felt sorry for Linda. Genuinely felt for Linda this week because she is just sort of...
Oh, she's having a horrible time. Yeah, absolutely.
Not helped by Nancy, who was Nancy threw quite a few strops this week and sort of pushed people away. And
namely Zack.
I could
carry on. I'll let you carry on because this is all for you, my friend. This is all for you.
Because all of this has sort of coincided with everything that was going on with Sam. Sam is basically, because Sharon has now got the club. This is something else that we should mention. Sharon has now got the club because Kat has basically arranged with Phil that Sam's no good for this job, and I'm actually inclined to agree with her because I think that Sam is trying to do a lot more than she's actually capable of. I thought when she came back that Sam was going to be quite a capable sort of, but she's really not.
She hasn't,
so that side of Sam hasn't changed. Well, that side of Sam hasn't changed, which is quite nice. But yeah, so Sharon's basically now got the club. So Sam's in a mood. and has basically sacked everybody in the club. It works there. And then at the end of the week, gets drunk. And Zack, having had a row with Nancy, he goes into the club and also gets drunk. And those two end up sleeping together, just as Nancy's trying to sort of ring Zack to apologise. Now,
very gratuitous.
As I say, a shallow podcast. But that scene where Sam ripped his shirt open, all the awards. All the awards. I was any mistakes at the show. I even forgave the Ben smoking scene for that scene. So thank you very much indeed.
Well, I mean, as I think a lot of people have pointed out, the Ben smoking scene was for a certain set of fans. We feel the Zack having his shirt ripped off was for me. a very select set of fans, which is one. Yes, Rob.
It was for me.
I mean, we'll have to.
I'm sure there are many others, but none of them have my dedication.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Can we rewind for a second, because we should point out that the reason why the reason why Sam. I mean,
I did several times, at least 10 times. Go on, carry on.
You're going to love the title card this week, let me tell you. So rewind. But the reason why Sam is so upset is because Sharon, as you said, has taken over the club. But not before Sam had decided to kind of bulldoze her way around, declare that the pub was going to become a wine bar called Peggy's, which I still think is an awful name.
It's an awful name.
It's a terrible name. And Sharon basically said, "You know what, Sam?
You wouldn't go, I got a banging night at Peggy's. Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have a banging night because it's a wine bar. It's a wine bar. No, a wine club. Didn't she call it a wine club?
Well, I have to say, though, actually, I'd be kind of quite pleased for Sam to sort of change whatever the club has become. Because I don't really understand. I know it's London, all right? I get that. But I don't think the show needs 3 separate places for the characters to go and get drunk during the day. You know, it's a nightclub, so that will be open at night. You've got the Albert and you've got the Vic. Mm-hmm. I don't think that. How many people? When did you last go into a club for a coffee? When did you last do that?
I mean, I do agree with you. I hate the fact that they've turned the Rubies into a coffee hot spot in the day. It's so unnecessary. They could just kept that as a night spot. It's weird, isn't it, that they've kind of elaborated like these new spots on location. And I suppose it's a tough sign of the times. I mean, wine bar though. Would you want it to be a daytime wine bar?
I'd rather it not be a daytime anything. I don't mind, like, I'd love it to just sort of be a nighttime thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly not. It's always has been, wasn't it? When it was an R&R's, it was just
E20.
A nightclub, and how would have scenes at E20. You know, it was just a nightclub where it was open during the night, and you could have as many scenes as you like in there at night. I just don't necessarily think you need to have a club open during the day.
No, I agree.
Coffee when you've got the Albert that is for that exact purpose. I could just about cope with the Albert having that. So it just seems unnecessary. Yeah, just seems unnecessary to have the club like that as well. So
they're drinking coffee in the Queen Vic. They're drinking coffee in the Queen Vic now. What the heck's going on there? The Vic should only be for drinking.
Cosmopolitan.
It has. It's too much. It's too East London for me.
So
relocated.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sam and Zack, that's happened. Thank you.
Oh God, how we got straight back to that? You're desperate to talk about this.
I'm just trying to bring us back to Ground Zero, where we talk about what happens next. So, Zack, they were both drunk. So, presumably, the next thing is now going to be Zack waking up, hopefully still topless. He will wake up and go, "What have I done? Oh, I must go to Nancy." And Sam will just sort of be lying there, like not in the slightest be bothered. Yeah, right, go, yeah, cool. And he's sacked, by the way, as well. I can imagine Sam saying that, you know. And then Nancy will just go mad, won't she? Because I think Zack might tell her fairly soon. I don't think that Zack's going to be the sort to kind of keep this a secret for weeks. I think he might have too much of a guilty conscience.
Well, he kept a secret before from Nancy, didn't he? When he knocked her down sorry, I should say Frankie knocked him down in a car, and that was kept a secret for a long time. But the thing is, he's then had to beg forgiveness. Well, no, ish. He did drink, so he should have taken more responsibility. He look at me
driving.
Yeah, but you say that about Linda then.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if Nancy pulled Zack out of the car and put him around into the driver's seat. It's a whole new story.
Whole new story.
So he's already begged forgiveness from Mick once. So again, I guess he's going to have to beg forgiveness again if he admits this to Nancy. But I can't imagine that Zack's going to keep the secret for very long. The other thing is that Sam, they like surprise pregnancies, don't they? You know, she's still of age for birth.
I mean, that kid's going to be the most demonic child ever born, isn't it? So what? Grandparents being Eric Mitchell and Gavin.
Well, it'd be,
Ugh,
it would be a
that's gonna
Sullivan
be
and a Mitchell. I know. It'd be
yeah,
awful,
yeah.
wouldn't
That's
it?
going to be
You
a
said about
devil
Scarlet.
child. That is.
You said
Yeah,
about
that's
Scarlet
going to be
being
worse
a
than
moon and
Scarlet. Yeah, this kid's going to be the devil incarnate. Christ alive. Yeah, you know, because you know what soap parents are like. So contraception doesn't exist in the world of soaps. Nobody ever has sex with a condom in soaps. So everyone always ends up pregnant. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. We'll just wait and see. But something for Zack to do. If it gives Zack a storyline, I don't mind.
Keep Zack busy. I know it's a weird thing to kind of like wish for, but to my knowledge, I don't think, other than kind of Chelsea almost having an abortion for terminating her child, I do think that Sam would want a child, because Sam's not really shown any kind of paternalistic for her son at all, has she? She's kind of just left him with Jack and kind of saying, "Oh, get on with it." And apart from those couple of scenes when she's kind of do you think that could be a story for Sam as well? Kind of showing that she's still not kind of grown up. Possibly. She's kind of, you know, chugging along and kind of just living each day for herself.
It could be that though, because I think the thing with Sam at the moment is that she's constantly being told by everybody that she's not good enough in the role that she's trying to build for herself. You know, Phil's, by putting Sharon in charge of the club, Phil has basically said to her, "Yeah, you're right. You know what? You're not ready for this yet." It's a little bit like the sort of Vinny and Suki relationship, where she's just looking around being told by everybody that she's not ready and she's not mature enough, which is correct. And actually, I'm quite impressed that they've sort of kept that characterization of Sam, because I genuinely thought that she was just going to come back as a sort of a bit like Mel and just be completely capable of running the club, but she is getting like she's got ideas above the station as Sam. So you know, she's got Sharon telling her she's not capable. She's got Kat telling her she's not capable. She's got Phil basically now saying that she's not capable. So I wonder if actually she would see a kid as a sort of, well, look, I can raise a kid. I'm absolutely ready to do everything. So yeah. So I can see her trying to prove it by having the kid. But all of this is completely and utterly, you know, we don't know.
Pie in the sky. Yeah.
No. But I can see that would work actually. So yeah, we'll see.
It's
Let
funny
us know
you say
in the comment section below. Go on, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, it's funny you should bring up the whole kind of Mel thing with Sharon, because can you imagine if they do like another kind of reincarnation with Mel and Sharon, like chasing each other down the road? Just because you said about Mel being capable, and possible. Then whenever I hear someone say Mel was quite capable, it just brings my mind straight back to when she broke her fish tank to distract a room full of patients so she could steal drugs from a cabinet. I'll never forget that day. I still can't quite believe that scene happened. It was a terrific day. And what I loved about that was that we got a behind-the-scenes exclusive. Exactly what I was about to say. Exactly.
As though it was the biggest stunt since the bus crash.
With a stunt coordinator. Yes. Anyway, that's me.
Fish, the lot.
That's me done. Come on then.
There we are. Let us know in the comments section below what you think, what you thought of this week. Where do you think the storylines are going? We will take a look at some news now and have a little conversation about some other things in I Ain't Want to Gossip.
You know me, I ain't one to gossip.
So on this week's I Ain't Want to Gossip, we have two news, rumours, articles, bits and pieces that we want to talk about. As always, as Rob said, you can get in touch with us and discuss any of the rumours or the news we're talking about this week, all the details at the end of the show. And just to remind you, if you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. Or if you're listening on your favourite podcast app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or Podbean, then don't forget to subscribe on that as well. We love it when you do. Yes. So please do it. So starting off then is Danny Dyer. Danny Dyer has basically said that he wants his character of Mick to be killed off when he leaves the show. He doesn't want him to just walk away or go off in a black cab. He wants to be killed off. He doesn't want the character to be ever returnable again, unless he's like Dirty Den and he gets shot off screen and he falls into a river and then comes back a few years later. How do you feel about that? And also, do you feel like it's right for an actor to kind of dictate how he should leave the show? I mean, do you feel like that Danny Dyer has that right because he's played that character for such a long time? Or do you think that the production crew should be like, well, no, we make the show and we want to make sure that it's got that legacy going on, you know, a bit further forward if you ever did want to come back?
I mean, well, it might well be that, you know, the show wants to kind of keep him there so that he can come and go, and Danny Dyer wants to. Sometimes you do get actors that would like to be killed off so that they just can't go back, and so they're forced to, you know, it's a career thing. They like to just be set free completely, whether they like it or not, and just sort of have to go out and find other work rather than falling back onto they don't challenge themselves. It's a creative industry thing, I assume. I do. I mean, we've said that we aren't I'd rather they didn't kill Mick off, but story-wise, it would sort of make sense. It would be quite a big story because Mick has been quite a sort of modern-day icon character, hasn't he? He's like one of the last sort of classic characters from the last 10 years. So him being killed off would be quite a big episode, wouldn't it? So he's saying that it's going to be epic, and he's really excited about his exit. So we don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't surprise me that Danny Dyer has sort of got a bit of power to say that, I'm negotiating with the writers to see what I want to do. That doesn't surprise me. And he's not the first actor that you can sort of associate that sort of thing with. June Brown would definitely have done that. So,
I mean, don't get me started on how June Brown should have had a return. John Sen.
That's
for another episode.
Don't leave John Sen alone. It's got nothing to do with John Sen.
It's got everything to do with John Sen, but we'll talk about that on another episode. We're talking about Mick Carter right now. But you're right. You're right. I'm sure the listeners or the viewers want us to. Let us know if you want us to talk about how John Sen ruined .con. So,
you've never heard episodes previously where you slagged off John Sen ever. It's a brand new feature for our podcast.
Brand new thing. In fact, we can make it a feature. John Sen watch. It's happened. It's happened in the past. It's as early as like the very first few years, because Anita Dobson famously said that she kind of wanted to be written off as a character and killed off screen as well. So, a lot of actors and actresses do, as you say, they want to kind of put an end to their character. That's the end of that. They move on to a new venture. It feels a bit surprising for Danny Dyer because, I mean, Danny Dyer, no offense to him, but he kind of has a kind of stereotype of the kind of character he plays in like the films he did and the TV shows he did. And Mick Carter felt like it was a little bit different to like the Danny Dyer that we kind of saw beforehand. And so I thought, I would have thought that Danny would kind of wanted that to kind of just be something he could maybe fall back on in the future, because he was quite vocal as well when he kind of first spent the first 2-3 years on the square, that he, this was almost a kind of like something that he'd have to be pulled away to leave the show. Like he would, this is a job to him, and this is something that he would, something desperately had to change for him to be taken away. Yeah. And so it's surprising, first of all, that he wants to leave the show. It's surprising even more that he wants to be killed off in the process. I just think it feels a little bit of a mistake, and I think it'd be something that he would regret if they did end up doing.
He may also be leading us up a completely merry path and sort of making us think that Mick's going to be killed off so that he doesn't get killed off and it's a surprise. I don't think that Danny Dyer is the type to sort of ruin the plot just to sort of excite his own fans just for selfish reasons. I think that he would want the show to be, he'd want the show to look as good as it does when he leaves, I would like to think. So we don't know, he's negotiating implies that, if they haven't entirely decided what they're doing yet, which is surprising, because I thought the whole story had been pitched to him and that he, but clearly he was like, no, we can rethink that for a start. So I don't know. We will see. Yes. We'll wait and see what's going to happen with Mick. It sounds like it's going to happen around Christmas time, doesn't it?
That seems to be the time frame that he's set. So I presume that's where his contract is ending then. So it feels like that they must have extended it then by a few months, and it makes sense to do it at Christmas. As we said numerous occasions before, they have 2 or 3 big opportunities. It's normally September, Christmas, the anniversary of the show, and sometimes episodes, not all the time, but sometimes they tend to do something quite big in the summer. They've kind of done it this time round, really, haven't they? With kind of the Ben story, I guess, and the Janine story.
So far.
Yeah, in the storyline wise. The only other thing I can think of is, do you think that Danny Dyer is very aware of fans being a bit Cartered out? They're getting a bit of Carter fatigue.
I doubt it.
No, do you not think that it might be a nice way of graciously coming out?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that would be, because I think he would have quite enjoyed, because the Carters are popular. Yes, they are slightly oversaturated themselves, but that's been them right from the start. It's not like we've ever really had sort of periods where the Carters have been a quiet group of characters. The Carters have always been. I mean, they're in the Vic, loud and proud. They're in the Vic, so that's sort of how life works when you're in the Vic. You're not the main characters, but you are characters that are constantly sort of there, whether in background or in main story. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to sort of see what happens, because either way, it's going to be a big set of episodes, which are always fun to look forward to. I would think that Janine is going to be very heavily involved in it, so literally anything can happen.
Watch out for heels.
Well,
in Scotland.
there is rumours. There is rumours that they've gone to Scotland to do a little bit of filming.
They have.
So who knows? He may find himself in the crater of Barry's body where he landed on the crate.
Just a skeleton. Just a skeleton laying next to the rock, still there. The police haven't even moved.
Barry was there. Barry was never removed.
Here lies Barry.
It's
Barry
a small
Evans.
branch. The police up in there was a small branch from Walford, and they've just got the same level of training.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But we shall see. The other piece of news that we've got, which I was reading from my phone, was next week. Now, I didn't really know about this because I could not care less about Wimbledon. If there was any sport that I don't care about, I mean, I don't care about most sports, to be honest, but Wimbledon is right down there in the things that I genuinely couldn't care less about.
How very un-British of you. Boris Johnson will be on you in a second.
Which is a slight change to the EastEnders. I'm reading a tweet from Walford East here, and it says a slight change to the EastEnders schedule from Monday the 27th of June, making way for Wimbledon. The soap will now air on BBC Two, but thankfully it will remain in its usual 7:30 PM time slot. So from Wimbledon, it's going to be on BBC Two. I don't know if it's for the whole of Wimbledon. Probably is. I don't know because I'm not really sure how. I know Wimbledon is everywhere when it's on. So it may well be that EastEnders is basically on BBC Two until Wimbledon is finished. Just wait and see. But from the 27th, that's where EastEnders will be. BBC Two, 7:30. So be there or be triangular, my friends.
I indeed. I mean, it's a step up, I suppose, from the box set on the iPlayer. I guess.
I'm surprised they didn't do that. I thought they were going to do that again.
Well, I mean, there's still time for that because there's the World Cup. It's been pushed to December, hasn't it? Because it's in Qatar.
Is that this year as well?
It is, but normally it's in the summer. But because it's in Qatar, where the weather is hottest in the summer, they've moved it to the winter, which is the first time they've ever done that. So in December time, which I read things. I have my sporty moments sometimes.
Don't you just
So it kind of the thing is, I was talking about Mick just a minute ago. I don't think they'd do the box sets then either. But whether they would then move, I think they would move EastEnders around the schedules, but that's not particularly a very wise move either. I mean, in a way, I get it. I get it moving to BBC Two. It's weird that they've not just put Wimbledon on BBC Two. So the BBC obviously quite keen to kind of say we think that an audience is going to be bigger.
Though, doesn't it?
No, normally Wimbledon moves, doesn't it? I don't think EastEnders rarely moves, or never used to anyway. But let's be honest, I think Wimbledon's probably going to call, especially if there's like an English player or a very popular player playing on one certain day. You know, it does pull an audience probably bigger, and also it's probably more in the direction of the BBC remit that they're so desperately showing, because they've been getting a few pats on the back by the Conservative government recently for the Jubilee coverage and the news coverage with the Ukraine, being able to broadcast in Russia, still one of very few news broadcasters that are still being broadcast in Russia. So being able to kind of broadcast the truth, although the Russian government may say otherwise, you know, so they're getting a few kind of pats on the back by the government right now. And I think they're keen to kind of keep that by showing like a very heritage, very British sporting event, i.e. Wimbledon, on the BBC main channel, and then maybe moving EastEnders, which is still kind of argued by a lot of people as a kind of hemorrhaging money and unnecessary waste of money to be still being made, onto their sister channel, BBC Two. I mean, it could be worse still. They could put Wimbledon on BBC One, BBC Two, and move EastEnders over to BBC Three. That would be the shocker. And so I can't imagine.
Well, they're keeping it, you know, they're just moving out of harm's way, and it's going to be in a regular slot. It's not, because actually sometimes what tends to happen with Wimbledon is that it just tends to go all over the schedules, and they sort of fit EastEnders in as and when they can. So actually, they're doing EastEnders actually more of a favour here, and being kinder to it, and just putting it on the same time every night, just on the next door, essentially, aren't they? Just moving it next door and just sort of doing it there. So there we are then.
Over to BBC
That's what's happening. Over to BBC Two. Over to the BBC Two news cupboard. So there we are then. So there we are. That's another week done and dusted. Thank you very much for listening, viewers. Don't forget to please get in contact us. Get in contact with us. Thank you very much. By doing the following. Contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell to get notifications about all our videos. And you can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. Email us at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or at alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. As I say, thank you very much. The game next week will be, where are you going to film the podcast from next week, Alex? Because you had your living room last week. Your office this week. Where are you going to go next week?
Brothel. I'm going to find a nice brothel to kind of go to. And
It was always going to happen.
It'll be a lovely background in the brothel as well, I feel
so
like.
just your basement then, yeah?
Absolutely. Can I just also add that we've been recently getting a lot of nice reviews from people who've been reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. We have. Lovely reviews, 5 stars. And if you enjoyed the show, please feel free, with a comment if you can, to leave a review on whatever podcast app you're using, Apple Podcasts or whatever, because it really does help the show. It gets us out there and it gets people to know that we are here. This little podcast that could, which is Walford Weekly. So thank you again to everyone who has done. And thank you also, because I don't do this very often, to all our Patreons as well who stick by us as well. So thank you very, very much.
We love you. Indeed. So we love you all. Thank you very much once again for listening. And we should be back same time next week. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Bye.